I mean, look at the numbers here. Now, again, it's AAA. I understand it. But it does seem like every night these guys are doing something, which leads to every day Met fans begging for their call-up. Jim, do the Mets need to call these guys up? And is it still too soon to bring them up?
You know, I think that if you had a need, and you're starting to get to that point where, you know, middle of May or so, you like try to give veteran guys that kind of leash to see if they figure it out. If they don't by then I usually go to see if there's an option to go to the minor leagues. Luckily, with the Mets, it looks like they have two of them. Vientos, for me, is the one who's ready sooner. You're starting to see, as you mentioned, the home runs. He's homered in his last 2 games. Small sample, he's 4 for his last 20. But I don't worry as much about that. I'm worried about, you know, overall. It looks like he's hitting both the fastball and the breaking ball. So I think if there's that feeling of that need, then I would bring him up. My concern on either one of them, though, is this. They have 2 rookies already in the lineup. And you've seen, they're the best I think the Mets have at the moment. And you're seeing early struggles. And I think if you add a 3rd guy to that lineup, I think there's a potential drop-off there because the expectation is going to be high. But I think you have to give both of those guys, either one of them, if they bring them up, a little bit of lead time to kind of figure out the better pitching. And it is way better pitching at the major league level. So let's not look at these guys as the answers. But I do think that one of them, if things continue this way at the major league level, one of them in the next week or 2 should be called up. Whether they will or not, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, but you look at Vientos, you don't want to bring this guy up and say, okay, you're our savior. We're going to rely on you to save this Mets team, because that's just not going to happen. We saw him it took a little time for him to get acclimated last year when he was in the majors, but that pop in the bat, the Mets need that, because when you're in a downward spiral, the Mets have streaky hitters. A home run or 2 could absolutely bust the team out of that. Now, the only question is, where do you play him? Because he can be a defensive liability if you play him in the field or anywhere other than first base. But you can't just stick Pete Alonso in the DH, so he would have to go DH. So at that point, you have to say, all right, so who am I going to cut ties with? Is it going to be Tommy Pham? Is it going to be Vogelback? Or are we going to option Luis Guillorme, but then your infield depth takes a hit? So really, the Mets have to figure out this puzzle piece. I do think he's the one that's closest, because Mauricio, I think, only has 34 games in AAA. But I do think we need a little bit more time to see what direction to go in.
You nailed it. Power, power, and more power. That's what the Mets are lacking. They're lacking it from the right side, outside of Pete Alonso. So to me, it's pretty simple. Vientos is the guy I want on this team sooner rather than later. I go back to Brett Beatty, who was banging the drum for him in spring training. He's made his mark on this team. And if you look at the bottom of the order for the New York Mets, they need some help in that regard. And I think a guy like Mark Canha, simply put, should be put on notice here. I know he had a terrific season a year ago, but this is a guy who's not hitting for a whole lot of power. He's not giving you production so far this year. So if Vientos is going to be homering every single day in spring training or in AAA, get him up here. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm with Jim, though. They already have 2 rookies in this lineup. I'd love to see an opportunity, because the unknown is 2 things that are happening. The Major League Mets aren't hitting, and then there's the unknown about the minor leaguers. That is why you have fans clamoring for it, but I do not think it's the answer, nor should it be on a team with the highest payroll in Major League Baseball.